All right. So if you have a physical product business, hell, any kind of business, honestly, it doesn't really matter. You have to have these trade-offs between different pros and different cons. And you just asked the question, okay, let's say I'm a videographer. What would you pay more for? What way do you think about prioritizing the question of speed versus quality? Like, do you want the thing fast, like setting up the camera and getting it all good to go? Do you want it fast, or do you want it to be having a high quality? And this is a really interesting question because there's actually there's three trade-offs we always need to make when we're creating a product or service. And famously, I can't remember who it was, but somebody very famous in the industry said, you got to pick and choose two of these three. Then Bezos came out and Bezos said, well, I'm going to choose three of all three. And that's how Amazon got built. But the three things that you always have to balance is speed, price, quality. There always has to be a trade-off. You can have two of these things, but not typically all three. So speed is, I want the thing fast. If you want the thing fast and you want this at a cheap price, then you're going to have to sacrifice quality, right? And so that's Amazon overnight shipping. You get that thing the next day and you get this $5 thing, right? So it's cheap, it's fast, but the quality is not necessarily really good. The flip side is if I wanted this custom table, then that's incredible quality, and I'm probably not going to get it very fast, right? And it's going to be expensive. That's the trade-off, right? And so you get the high quality, but you don't get it fast, and it's probably going to be costly. And so there's always this push and this pull. Do you want the thing fast? Do you want it inexpensive? Do you want it high quality or low quality? And depending on the item, we have these different tolerances that we'll accept. You know, if I'm looking just to get acetaminophen or ibuprofen, I don't care if it's the highest quality ibuprofen in the world. I just want it fast and I want it cheap, right? And so I'm probably just going to go to the corner store and I'm going to get it in the next 10 minutes and I'm going to put it into my body. I don't necessarily care about the quality, right? The other side is if I want to be eating incredibly healthy, I want some like grass-fed steak. Well, it's going to be pricey and it's going to have high quality. I might be able to get it quickly, but I might need to go a little bit further than just the corner store. I might have to go somewhere further abreast, right? But so you always need to be balancing these three things. And as a business owner, the question you need to ask is, where do you want to sit on that Venn diagram of quality, price, and speed? Do you want to be known as being super fast, super cheap, and super low quality, right? Like that's not a bad thing necessarily, right? Or would you rather be known as high quality, high price, and a little bit slower? Or maybe what you want to be is high price, high speed, or low speed and high quality. So it's all a push and a pull. My preference is typically to be on the high side of price rather than competing on being the cheapest. So that one for me is almost always, I would rather let that be the sacrifice. And then the consequence of charging more is I can afford to be faster because I can give you more attention in the short term. And I can afford to deliver at a higher quality. When you charge too low and you're competing on like being the cheapest in the industry, then you don't really have the margins that would allow you to move fast or to have the highest quality. And this was a really interesting like push and pull that we were having to decide at Escape Climbing. When we were in 2016 and into Operation Cannonball, this was the operation where we decided instead of playing small, only having 3 to 4 employees and doing $300,000 of revenue a year, we were going to blow this thing up and we were going to go as big as we could over the next few years. And over the next 2-3 years, we grew to 3 million in top line revenue, right? So at the beginning of that process, we sat down and said, okay, where are we in this? How fast can we be? Can we compete on price and can we compete on quality? Now, we knew because we were in-house manufacturing, we were learning the polyurethane science and the process all around that we couldn't have the highest quality product from a strictly technical chemistry perspective, that it was going to require tens of millions of dollars of R&D to be able to compete with the other guys in the industry who already had a head start on that. So we knew we couldn't compete there. So we said, okay, well, we can compete by being fast because those guys, they have a 2-month turnaround time. So you place your order and it would take 2 months. We said, well, we can be fast. We might not have the highest quality, but we can get orders out the same week we get them, and we can be inexpensive because we're doing them in-house, because we don't have all the budget of the R&D and overhead. We can actually maintain the same margin as our competitors, but by reducing our price at 20%. So we were cheaper than everybody else and we were faster than everybody else, but we knew we didn't have the same quality, and we didn't try to hide that. Like we just said, listen, if you want holds fast and on a budget, we're your people. And we grew through that. And an interesting thing is that really attracted a particular demographic, which is the home wall builders, people who were building in their backyards, right? They didn't necessarily care about the quality. They just wanted a lot of holds, a lot of variety at an inexpensive price. So interestingly, that became about 40% of our core business. That, and then the other side was selling to gyms, where gyms do have a higher emphasis on quality because they have more traffic climbing on the holds. They want them to last longer. Well, COVID struck. And because half of our business was home wall people, all the gyms closed down going into 2020. An interesting thing occurred. All of those people who were climbing in the gyms could no longer go there. So they all went home and they all started building their walls. Who did they order from? Yeah, the people who had carved out a niche for being fast and for being cheap. Now, an interesting thing happened, which is all of our competitors went out of business because all of their business was going to the gyms. So they were dominating there and they didn't have any home wall presence. So the 2020 occurs and suddenly our unique brand position wins out the day. So we started buying up our competitors and grew like gangbusters in 2020 when everybody else was going out of business. Then fast forward, all the gyms open up again. Who do they go buy from? Whoever's left standing. That was us. So little story just to tell you, again, like you have to make these trade-offs between speed, price, quality, and you want to do it with intention, know your brand position, and understand the trade-offs. And then understand how you can coach those trade-offs as actually being advantages, right? For us, it was, hey, you're not getting the highest quality hold, but who cares? Like you're getting them for cheap, you're getting them fast tomorrow so you can start climbing on them, and these holds are good enough. And over time, we made them better. And so that quality didn't even become so much of the distinguishing factor. But that's a story for another day. So that's going to do it for me, guys and gals. Hope this brought you a little bit of value. I'll see you in the next episode.